He's a former FBI counterterrorism agent and president of Mission Integrated Technologies, which makes tactical rescue and counterterrorism products. Sir, it's nice to see you.
Thank you, Shep.
A gun's only going to go so far with this ideology.
Yeah, the issue is that it's not an individual group we're after or a group of individuals. We are after an ideology. And I could say the most positive thing in light of all the horrible news, especially out of Paris this week, is what's been happening in the Muslim world with Queen Rania, President Sisi in Egypt, and President of Tunisia, vocalizing finally what we've been hoping would be said. So I think that is a very daunting task that they've started on, but it's a task that is absolutely needed if we're going to confront this ideology as a whole. And
you, from the more guns side of this, it's fascinating to me to hear that that is one of your greatest talking points. And I wonder how important you think it would be for instance, a leader from Egypt to stand up with a leader from, say, Germany or France or England, to make this as a joint statement that what you're hearing, young people with no hope and no job and no future, is not a hope or a future.
Absolutely. You're completely right. I think the Western leaders need to join with these leaders from the Arab and Muslim world and get together and let the people know that this ideology, if I'm a Muslim scholar, I need to stand up and shout and say, look, you are facing a false ideology here. This is not our religion. And I think they're starting to say that. Individuals have been saying it for some time. I mean, if I can go back a decade or more, Anwar al-Awlaki was brought onto the FBI's radar by a Muslim informant of mine who was a practicing Muslim, was at a mosque and heard him speaking and said, this guy's completely a whack job. And that's how he got on the FBI's radar. And that needs to happen before these individuals get completely radicalized and move to the point of violence. Now, a gun is effective, but that's only when you have somebody cornered. It's much more effective to have human intelligence at this point.
When we hear from analysts and others, some leaders, in fact, the head of MI5 in London saying that they believe that there's another attack in the planning. When we hear this sort of thing about other Western targets, is that more speculative, or is there something there about which they're not giving us specificity?
I think it's the latter. I think the specificity probably is from the top secret side of the house, where they're getting intelligence. There may be human sources on the ground that are telling them things, but it's also speculation based on the sequence of events we've seen over the last couple of years. We've seen Western targets more and more and more around the world get targeted. Now they're moving into the Western world. The Westgate Mall attack was a target on the Western world. The Boko Haram attack on the girls that were receiving Western type of education was an attack on the Western world. This event in Paris and the event in Sydney, Australia, weeks before, those were attacks on the Western world. So I think it's the culmination of those events and then whispers that are within that community that the intelligence personnel are now warning everyone this is going to happen, and it's going to happen all over.
It's not surprising and is part of pattern that when something of this nature, so big and encompassing, happens, that it takes over the news cycle. And I wonder the degree to which it takes over the news cycle, you believe, is feeding those who would like to do exactly that.
Well, it certainly does give them the publicity they want. I mean, these are masters at using social media now. Because we're fighting a very fluid ideology that can be spread literally by bits and pieces throughout the internet and throughout any form of mass communication, it is now at the point that it can't be stopped that way. We can't target all of these individuals through social media and everything else. It's not possible. So we need to get the greater world involved in this search, because intelligence agencies are completely outmanned when it comes to trying to target these individuals one by one.
Completely outmanned. Former FBI counterterrorism agent Tim Clemente, who ought to know. Tim, it's always nice to talk to you. Thanks so much.